Yeah, and I feel like even sometimes for us, like getting told no would make us sometimes want to even work harder, or like it would push us in a different direction that would sometimes be like even more beneficial.
Every time we have a track that does well, we would sign it to a label or do something with the label, and I feel like it's never been where we get to the other side of it and we're like, oh, that was so worth it. When we've released a lot of our catalog independently, those are the best and most successful releases because we like can do anything we want, we can make the decisions.
Success in electronic dance music isn't just about talent. It's about handling the pressure as your career grows. I'm Dr. Sunni, performance psychologist and coach, and this is Psych Drop, where artists and industry leaders share what it really takes to build a sustainable career. Our guest today is Telykast. Telykast is a US-based music duo at the forefront of producing euphoric dance music and progressive house with a modern feeling. The duo has tallied over 300 million streams to date with widespread radio success. In 2025, Telykast released their debut EP, Feel Again, including dance radio #1 single, Free. Most recently, they released through Stamped Records, founded by Martin Garrix, and Armada Music, founded by Armin van Buuren. With the goal of bringing music back that makes people feel, Telykast has brought their signature sound to collabs and remixes with artists such as Taylor Swift, Nicky Romero, Deoro, and Cascade, as well as vocalist Teddy Swims, Winona Oak, and Georgia Koo. In the past few years, they've toured across the world while playing headline shows as well as supporting globally recognized acts, Alan Walker, Martin Garrix, and David Guetta. They have garnered critical acclaim from Billboard, Dancing Astronaut, Spotify's Mint playlist, Apple's Dance XL playlist, and more. Welcome. So happy to have you both here. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Great
Thanks
to be
for
here.
having us. Really appreciate you having us.
We did all that stuff that you mentioned.
It's a lot of stuff, and I think growing, you guys have had so much growth just in this year alone. It's really exciting.
Yeah.
Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. So, I mean, I know that what it takes before the success that people see, there's so much that goes into it. And I'm curious to hear from both of you, like, over time, what has helped you both keep going when maybe you weren't seeing the results the way that you are now?
Ooh, yeah. I mean, I feel like it definitely helps to have each other, and like now we have, you know, a lot of people that help us, like a team and stuff that really keeps us going. But yeah, in the beginning, it was just like us really doing everything. And yeah.
No, I feel like also we both came from sports or like kind of like adverse backgrounds, and I feel like that helped a lot. And always in the process, people would say, oh, sports helps you so much in life or things like that. And I feel like being able to be told no is a very healthy trait, or like just some people get crushed by like not having success instantly. And it's like for us, it was like obviously a slower growth maybe than someone next to us, but it's like as long as you're growing, that's really all you can ask for. So it's kind of always been like our thought, and just to keep our head down, because it's like a numbers game really at the end of the day. So
yeah, and I feel like even sometimes for us, like getting told no would make us sometimes want to even work harder, or like it would push us in a different direction that would sometimes be like even more beneficial. So
That's interesting. So what I'm hearing you say is, like, for both of you, the sports has helped some of the mindset from sports. And then also using, Trevor, what you said, like using the no as fuel to, you know, go even harder.
yeah, like we've never really been, I mean, of course it's always upsetting when you get like a lot of no's, and it like, you're always like, damn, or, you know, but like, I feel like we've always kind of taken that and just been like, okay, what can we do now? You know, rather than like letting it just like nosedive everything. Like we've never had like the mindset of being like, okay, now we're just not going to do it. It'd be like, okay, what else can we do then if we can't do this direction, you know?
Interesting. So really finding another way, like not letting no stop you. I think that is huge, because so many times, you know, whether it's artists or, you know, people even in different fields, getting that rejection it's really hard to keep going, especially when it takes so many rejections before, you do get a yes.
Totally.
Yeah. And I feel like for us too, having those kind of helped us build a solid foundation, because I feel like a lot of people get yeses early and don't necessarily have the infrastructure to handle those things. So it's like the way everything happened in hindsight, I think, is for the best. But yeah, we've seen people who have like the first thing they release go crazy and they're just not ready. They don't have a team, or they're not ready to like really hit that level, or even to follow it up with another song. So it's like the way everything happened for us, I feel like is very organic, and just the way that I would hope that it would happen for us in hindsight, for sure.
Yeah, when you look back, then you realize like, oh yeah, maybe we weren't ready to headline main stage EDC, like when we were first, obviously you want it, like obviously, but it's like, and you think back and you're like, oh yeah, like our sets, everything has gotten so much better because like we've done, like worked our way up like the kind of the right way. So
do you feel like it was more slow and steady growth over time?
yeah. I mean, like we've definitely had like things go viral and stuff that's propelled it like quicker in certain instances, but I definitely feel like, I mean, you always want it to go faster, So I feel like for us, it feels like it was like slow and steady.
But yeah, we have, a lot of people don't realize we have been doing it for like 10 years or so. So it has been a while. And I feel like post-COVID is really when we hit, or actually during COVID was when we really hit our stride. And I feel like everything kind of came to the realization of the sound and the direction and just the community we wanted to build and all those things that are very important when creating that. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've been following you guys since the beginning, but you're right. A lot of people didn't see maybe those first few years and are more, have been around in more recent years. And I think there's been so much work consistently that you've both had to put in. And you mentioned one important thing that's been helpful is you two having each other.
Yeah.
definitely, it's nice to have people around to take the like
Pain with.
just to like to like relate to what's going on, because it's like it is very lonely sometimes when you feel like no one cares. And I feel like if you're doing everything by yourself, there's so many jobs that come with being an artist. It's tough. So
Yeah.
I think that is so true. And definitely being part of a duo helps with, some of that loneliness if you're going through things at the same time. I know I spoke with Disco Fries a little bit about this, and, it's really interesting too. Like you said, there's so many different jobs to be done. Like, how have you both figured out what works for you and like who does what?
I think it just kind of organically kind of worked out that way, like over time, just kind of figuring out what, different things. I mean, I feel like we both can kind of do everything, but like, yeah, we just go like back and forth. And we always have like just worked together well, like since the beginning, which is why I think it works like so well.
and yeah, I think just as to be had at people adding to our team, and like there was also like a learning curve because we were so proactive with doing everything in the beginning. It was just us, that once we had people that we could delegate things to, not necessarily saying we're not involved, but that was also kind of a learning curve for us because we are so hands-on with everything and just having everyone work together in the best way possible.
Yeah. And just like trusting the team and everything to do like what we had just like done for so long. And like, it's always like just another thing you have to learn. But then that changed what we did too and allowed us more time to do like other stuff that's more important. So
Yeah. And I talk with artists about this exact thing a lot because it is such a shift from the beginning of learning to do all of the things yourself and figuring that out. And then when you do get to the point where you're building that infrastructure, like you mentioned, Kyle, like there's so many things that then have to change again. You have to be able to trust people. You have to learn to delegate. It's like a whole nother learning piece that comes in.
yeah.
Definitely.
And like, what suggestions do you have? I mean, looking back on your process of building that infrastructure over time, what would you suggest to artists who are in that process right now?
Well, I think for me, like in the beginning, we were kind of chasing people that we like thought we would work well with, and kind of like the biggest like people in a space. So it's like maybe we wanted like this certain agent because he did like the people that we loved and all these things. But I feel like over time we kind of realized it's better to work with people that like get along with you and understand your vision more, rather than trying to like force something that you think is going to be good. Like I think like at the end of the day, the people on your team need to like believe in it as much as you do. So I feel like finding that is more important than just being like, oh, I need the biggest agent in the world to do my project or something, you know?
Also, unless you're on like a complete rocket ship, the higher people don't necessarily need you. So it's kind of like backfires, because the second that you cool down or something isn't hot anymore, they have so many other clients that are their actual priorities. So it's like finding people who have the hunger, like we did, is very important as well. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it seems like some of the maybe less tangible things, like you said, not maybe the biggest person who, you know, works with the top artist, but looking more of some of the maybe more intangible things, like do they feel and understand your vision? Are they, you know, maybe more aligned with your values and are as hungry as you to help you guys get what you want, where you want to be?
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. And also just like meeting these people organically instead of, like Trev was saying, like forcing it. It's just, I feel like when you have that connection or a friendship first, and then everything else just kind of falls so much better, because it's just, I don't know, it wasn't like forced on both sides. So that's something I think everyone on our team we're super close with, and like it just helps keep it like a family vibe, but also just like in everyone's best interest as well.
And like everyone wants to like rush everything, but I feel like we were the same way. But then we kind of realized that like taking your time with those decisions is super important too. Like,
but you did have that feeling that you did want to rush things earlier on?
yeah, definitely. I mean, like you want everything to happen overnight. We were like, we had agents telling us, oh, can't work with you because you don't have a manager. And then we were like, well, we're doing all the management stuff ourselves. Like, why do we even need one? But like, then you realize like there's certain things that you need. But like, we were like, okay, we need to just rush to find a manager then, because we want the agent to work with us. And then we've had a few managers over the years. And then finally the one that we're with now, it's like kind of like so different than what we had in the beginning. So it's like, I don't know, things like that.
So do you think like over time learning from different experiences that the way that you make decisions has changed?
Yeah, exactly.
100%. Yeah. And I think just seeing it once you're on the other side, like, and we do have a group of people that we're happy to work with, it's like you see exactly what kind of like what we're saying, because it's just like you really can't force it. I think that's like the strongest thing that we could say, because it's like has to just be organic, and that's definitely the way everyone can win.
Yeah, and it takes a lot more time than you want.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing patience is key here.
Yeah. Yeah, it really is.
But Kyle, I think that you're saying something really important, is the value of relationships that develop organically, and then working together on, you know, it seems like whether it's your team or maybe even potentially even collabs or other projects, it's like when things come together organically, they're different.
100%. And I feel like even for us with touring everything, it's like we've done Alan Walker tour. We did a lot of stuff with audience still. Like everything started with just being nice, being thankful for the opportunity. And it just kind of snowballs from there. And now we're really good friends with them. And we've done collabs working on stuff with all those people. And it's just like, it's cool to see after a couple of years of just being friends and like not asking for anything and just like letting it do its thing, what can come out of that. So
totally.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, you've had so many relationships that you have built and grown over time and kind of keep going. And it sounds like the way to do it for you guys, and I think for successful artists in general, and maybe even anyone in the industry and beyond, is to kind of let these things happen organically, because then you can kind of decide also too, on both ends, who you want to work with, right? Who you feel comfortable, who sort of gets the vision, who you vibe with, because I think that can help you build a really strong team when you have sort of that foundation that's similar.
Yeah, exactly. And like, it's like sounds kind of like cheesy or whatever, but like people that you vibe with, I feel like that is like actually like the most important. And like, even with like people that run festivals and things like that, like the people that you really get along with is like the people that you want to work with and the people that want to work with you at the end of the day.
That is so true. And I think like we can't even say that enough, right? Because it really is like one of the keys to building your career, building a career that lasts, having success, whether that's with your team or with your music. If you have people behind you that you enjoy working with, like that comes out, I think, in, the products that you make. And like you said, the sets that you play, the places you play. This really is such a relationship-based business. And I think sometimes people miss that. And, Trevor, I think you said, developing relationships with people without asking for anything, right? Just letting things happen organically and not forcing stuff. I think there's just so much to be said for the value of that. Like thinking about how you could add value to other people rather than asking them for something. Because I think sometimes people miss that early on in their careers.
Yeah.
100%.
And at the end of the day, you can't make like everyone like you, and not everyone's going to like you or like your music or see the vision. And like, you kind of have to like accept that,
Of course. Like you said, even if it was somebody on paper that was like maybe your dream person to work with, if they don't see the vision, they're not the right person to work with.
Yeah, exactly.
So over the years, like you two being in this together, like, are there times where you disagree on stuff, and how do you deal with that?
I feel like we generally like agree on those things, but I feel like the things that if we don't agree on something, I feel like it kind of makes it better in a way too, because like then we'll compromise with something, and I think it still turns out really good because then it's like both of us, coming up with it.
And I think also, I mean, it's kind of beating over the head again, but it does help having other people to run things off of, like other people on the team or whatever, because sometimes we might not be seeing it a certain way, or well, it's just good to have outside opinions for music stuff or really anything, because like we're sometimes so blinded by what we're doing or whatever that we don't even see it a certain way. But yeah, I would say all in all, we pretty much always really on the same page with mostly everything. So it's good.
Well, and I'm guessing like somehow this had to do with how you both started working together in the first place.
Definitely.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like, I mean, also we've been working together for so long that like it's kind of just grown into that too. But even since the beginning, I feel like we've had just very similar thought processes of things, and like we're on the same team at the end of the day. That's the thing. It's like we both want to succeed, and we both like want to be the biggest like that we can be, like the biggest in the world, like that's like what our goals are aligned. So it's like, and I feel like we both like our contributions are both just so like valuable, and we both see that. So it's like,
wow. So it really sounds like you are mostly on the same page about many things. But Kyle, I think you brought up something too that's pretty important, is sometimes too, when you're both so focused on something, having an outside perspective can really like bring something you may not have seen when, you get so focused.
Yeah, that's not even like a music thing. Like it could be a merch design, or I could think of 100 examples where we just are like, oh, send this to Lil or send this to so-and-so. And it's just like having those people that will give an honest answers instead of just a yes man or someone thing is like very important. Someone that can shoot you straight or be like, this is terrible. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's something we've also came to like accept and realize is like, yeah, like sometimes like you need that outside person to like, cause when you're so, just in it with everything, like it's why people have like mixers or like mastering people do their music. Like they want like that another pair of ears, and it's like that with like, like Kyle said, like you could give 100 examples of like the things we do from day to day. It's like merch, touring, our set, like it's like we work on it and then we hear it and we love it, but like, will other people love it? Because like at the end of the day, it's a lot of it's subjective.
Right, right. Yeah. So it sounds like you both have a lot of people sort of in all different areas that you trust, and you could get their honest feedback on what they think about things, which is helpful.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So I know we touched like a little bit on the collab stuff. I mean, you've had so many collabs, whether it's with amazing vocalists or top DJs, just like beyond, and all of the collabs that you've had. I'm curious, like, to just like learn a little bit more about like the collab process and how you get into it. I mean, I'm guessing from what we've talked about, it's organic too. But I'm just curious about like the collab experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like with a lot of people, like it seems like it's like overnight, but we've known these people for like years, or like some people we've sent them tons of songs and say like, what do you think? What do you think? And then like eventually you hit like that one that it's like makes sense, or that timing that just totally makes sense with it. Yeah,
that was actually the same. Yeah, with we knew we wanted to get in with Stamped because it's just exactly the kind of fans that we knew we were building, and it just like for us it was just such a no-brainer because we love Martin. Obviously is like probably our top when it comes to idol, like people that we love what he's built, and I think that was like a huge goal for us, was to get into the Stamp side and the label, and that took a long time. Like we sent so many songs, and it was just like at first we were like, man, I don't know if they're ever gonna accept anything, but I feel like when you finally nail it, it's like always for the best. And it's always been the same thing with the collabs. I feel like we don't do that many collabs until recently, because we kind of also wanted to show like our own style. Like we work with a lot of vocalists and we love writing songs and doing all that side, but like actual artist collabs, I feel like we're relatively newer to, because we really did want to show like this is our sound. And now it's kind of fun to be able to work with those people, and we have a list of people that we're working with that we're super excited about. But yeah, it's kind of like you said, just been always like an organic friendship thing, and just try to find something that we both love.
yeah.
And it sounds like too, like you said, sort of keeping on going with trying, right? For a while you said you thought with Stamped it wasn't going to happen, but here we are.
Yeah, and I mean, like even with like artist collabs and stuff, we've sent so many songs, and then also worked on songs that just like never came out. But then like the one, you find that one that really makes sense, and like the timing also makes sense, and like, so yeah, that's another just being relentless one.
Relentless. That's a good word. But like you said too, also like you keep going, you're relentless, but if one thing doesn't work, you're thinking about something else that might work.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. Like we're like, if we're thinking of if we write a song and we're like, oh, this would be great for so and so, like we'll probably also be like, well, yeah, like it could also be great for this person, and it's like if that person says no, then like maybe this person, like so.
And you mentioned your top is Martin, and I know you recently played at Marquee, right, for the Stamped Records event in New York City, and where you were also at the Barclay show.
Yeah, we went to the Friday Barclay show. It was unreal. It was when he brought out Ed, and that, I don't know. I feel like when you see his crowd, for one, is the best. Like, just everyone's so nice, and like the energy, like everyone is into it. But like, I feel like when you go to a venue that size, normally it's just the floor, but the whole place was going nuts. Like I haven't seen that really, probably that I can think of, and I just thought it was super inspiring, and the show was insane.
Yeah, I agree. It was really cool.
Yeah, I agree too. I was there on the Thursday night, so I wasn't there on the Friday, but I agree. The vibe of, the Barclays Center, I haven't really seen something like that on that large of a scale where, everybody is up on their feet the entire time.
Yeah.
It was nonstop in a different way, and super inspiring.
Yeah. That was awesome. It's really cool to see how successful that tour was in a lot of those markets too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you guys are playing with Martin. When is your next show with him?
Ibiza,
23rd. Yeah. So like 2 weeks at
Oh,
Ushuaia.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that before or after Tomorrowland?
the
Day before.
The day before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a long couple days, but
Yeah.
it's going to be amazing.
That will be a busy and memorable 2 days.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm like excited for you both. Tomorrowland, one of the biggest stages in the world. Like, how are you both feeling to, have this moment coming?
Honestly, I think like it's like the right timing, like we've been saying. Like I feel like we have like so many like edits and so many like we've played so many shows kind of like gearing up to this that I feel like we just kind of know like what set we want to do, and like we're just like super excited.
And we've been, this is like a dream come true. And we've been we played a headline in London, and like we kind of like have learned what, I don't know, like Trev's saying, like exactly the image and the vision that we want to do in a situation like that. And I feel like it's just like the perfect time to showcase all that. And yeah, we're super excited. And the stage we're playing, people love. So, and we have a good time. So I think it's going to be incredible. We're super, super excited.
Wow. So, like, if you were talking to yourselves, let's say 10 years ago, and like now this moment is here, like, what would you even say to yourself 10 years ago?
Oh, that's kind of tough.
It is. That's a hard one.
I think for me, it's always like along the lines of just obviously not giving up, but I always just say everyone's pace is different, and like your time will come. Like it's people's, I want to say people have shelf lives, but they do. Like there's always room and people changing, and the landscape is always changing. And I feel like as long as you just stick down and really build a community and build like something that you're proud of, that will resonate with people. And I feel like once we started doing that is when we really hit a stride. And I feel like it's been the most fulfilling to us, is to see people that actually care what we do and know the songs and like relate to the songs, and just building that like really important part of it, to me personally has been what I think how I'd say that.
100%. Yeah. I think like also just like to go off of that, but like building the fans and just focusing on like our fans and stuff has been just like so important too. And like that's something in the beginning we were really focused on the music, which like we still are. But I feel like the whole other side of just like actually building a community of people is like so important to us now. And I feel like once we started doing that, it's just like so different. Obviously COVID kind of messed things up with like the touring side in that a little bit. But like now it's like just so much more fulfilling to have those people like at your shows and like supporting you. And like we love supporting them and like doing stuff with the fans and everything. And so that's another thing I would say.
Yeah, I think you two are both amazing at building community in the industry and also like with your fans. I mean, I know industry wise, like I've seen you front row at a Deoro show. You're not on the lineup, but you're out there supporting, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And on the other hand too, I've seen you guys play so many times in New York, and it's really interesting because I run into a lot of the same people at your shows, like completely different venues, whether you guys are taking over the middle of Times Square, playing a rooftop in Brooklyn, or, a nightclub. There are a lot of the same people going. And I think that says a lot.
I think that is such a important thing, that is something we really kind of took into building, is knowing the people. Like we genuinely know every one of those people that you're probably talking about. Like we recognize them when we talk to them. And like, I think obviously at a certain point that's going to be hard, but doing that as long as you can, and at least giving people every show, no matter the size, an experience like that is so crucial. Because if you have a couple hundred people in every market that feel that same way and feel that connection, like that's so important. And like just giving those people like that experience and showing them how thankful we are, and just having all that has been super important for us to build. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. And that's like kind of the whole like purpose of like everything that we do is like for the fans and because of the fans, you know. It's like seeing people sing our songs and stuff is what keeps us going and wanting us to, you know, keep making the music that we do. So I think it's super important kind of both ways.
Well, yeah, I think you guys are so connected to the community and they love it. I mean, like I said, I've seen it many times. And I'm like wondering, I know you play all over the world, you know, from Tomorrowland to much smaller stages. How do you adjust for, you know, mentally for the different crowds and, you know, when things may be unexpected things may come up during shows?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of that is just kind of like we were saying, experience over time, you know, because like you play in different markets, you actually realize like certain markets like different things. And our first kind of big, I'd say like European show where it was like truly those fans was our London show pretty recently, like a few months ago. And I think like we learned a lot from doing that as to like they like kind of certain different like music than like in the US. And so I think like now we kind of tailor our sets a little differently for stuff like that. And you just learn like things like that by doing it over time. And then obviously there's things, like you can't control. Like there's always something new that comes up that can be messed up, but we've had a lot of them happen. So it's kind of like, we kind of know most of them at this point, knock on wood, but then, you never know. There might be a new thing that comes up, but yeah.
I was just going to say there are patterns that we kind of see in different states and markets, and like obviously Denver is very bass heavy, or like it's just kind of funny to see the changes across and like how people react differently in different markets. So it's been cool to learn that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounds like the more you do it, the more you figure it out. Like I've seen that as a fan, going to festivals all over the world, that different markets, like you said, respond to different things. Obviously, within the US, there's a lot of variation, but even, Europe versus Asia, what works in a set is different. So I imagine like there's a lot of learning that's happening as you're, figuring out those different markets.
Totally.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the adaptability piece, you have to be able to adapt on the fly when things are going wrong, learning a new crowd. But it sounds like no matter what's happening, you're always there with the same purpose in mind, right? To deliver for the fans, play the best set you could possibly play. And I think that shows.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I think no matter how many people are there, it's still about giving them an experience. So that's always been important to us, because if you're paying or taking time out of your day, like the least that we could do is give you a good show. So
yeah, and we kind of think of it too, like when we were fans, like, and like when we went to these shows, like the feeling that it gave us, and like that's what we're trying to give people, even if it, like whether it's like Vegas at like 2 a.m. and you're with someone you just met, or like if you're at a festival and like you've been going to that festival for like years, just like that, giving you that experience that we got when we saw some of our favorite sets at festivals or wherever we were.
I think that is so key, is like to not lose that piece of it, right? Like what you experience as fans, there's so much that you can learn from your own experience and then sort of turn that around in the experience that you're giving to your fans and community. And I think sometimes artists maybe lose sight of that. And I think it can be so important and meaningful to stay connected to that, to like your inspiration from way back, or even, inspiration now, like you mentioned, Martin.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I think seeing something too that we've always done is see other people, go to shows still. Like just because we have an off weekend is probably a high chance we're going to do something, or go see a friend, or do something still. And like I think being in the culture and seeing what's working is a lot of people, like once they're busy, they're like, oh, I'm not going to shows anymore because they're doing enough themselves. But I feel like you can see when people kind of lose sight of like the swag of like what's working, or like we're very on like the new music and just kind of like we can have like a unique edge in our sets and just stuff like that people don't necessarily want to do that we love doing. So
Yeah.
Absolutely essential, I think. And it's something that, I talk with artists about a lot. Like you said, once touring schedules get busy and, there's a lot of production time, schedules get completely crazy, but making time to go to shows is so important for artists creatively. It's important, just showing support to other artists. And also, I think it can help with, like you said, staying in touch with what's working now. But also, I think it can help with preventing burnout, because I think it's very easy if you get overwhelmed with all of the tasks and a crazy schedule to feel the creative burnout.
100%. Yeah.
yeah. And I think a lot of people feel that pressure when they're not necessarily where they want to be, but it's also important to stay balanced and take time for yourself. Because I feel like, I don't know, I know people who do like, they want it rushed and like the answer overnight and all this stuff, but it's like, I feel like when you have more of a balanced life, you appreciate when you come back to the art or to whatever it is a lot more, because it's like you come back with a clear head instead of just sitting there and be like, I'm gonna sit in my room until this happens. It's like, that's such a, like, you feel like you're not working when you're out, but it's also kind of like harming yourself too. So completely agree with that.
Yeah, I think taking a step back and like actually realizing like that it's not the only most important thing in life, is like doing music, even though it's what we love and like 90% of the time it's what we want to do. But taking that step back and appreciating also like the small wins and like the small little victories and stuff that you get, and like not just taking those for granted, or not, if you could always be at a higher level, but like you gotta like really appreciate where you are too. And it's like there's a lot of people, like I feel like we would be like dying to be in the position that we're at now, years ago, and we'd be like, damn, how do we get there, and now we're here, and we need to like appreciate that we made it here, even though we obviously want to go a lot further too.
Yeah, I think the celebrating wins is so important, celebrating your progress. I know all of the time we want to be at our goal yesterday or today, right?
Yes.
But celebrating progress, measuring progress along the way. And then Kyle, what you said, like the balance piece, I think that is absolutely essential. And I think it can get harder to like prioritize the balance, especially when things start happening.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I'm wondering, like, what do you both do to help with the balance piece? I mean, obviously, I know in this industry, things are not always completely balanced, but what do you both do on your end, like personally and professionally, to try to keep some type of balance?
Yeah, for me, like sometimes it's even as simple as just like going on a walk, and like trying to get outside, because like I can spend a lot of time just like in the studio, like in just working on stuff. And then it's like, even that is like a lot. And then obviously I like going to the beach. I like playing video games. It's things like that, like just to separate it a little bit, even like as simple as that, I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, we're both super into like fitness, working out. I love playing golf when it's warm. It's pretty nice always in LA, but then during the weekdays, I like really do try to have a good sleep schedule, because I feel like when we've started, that's something that we also shifted into, was having a normal work day, because we would stay up till like 6 a.m. and just make music all night. And like, I feel like that's just not sustainable. And when you take care of yourself, it's so much easier to go and play shows on the weekend when you have a regimented thing during the week. So just having good habits during the week has been super important I feel like since we've gotten busier, for sure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Almost like treating it like during the week as a little bit more of like a 9 to 5, where like you're like kind of on the schedule of most other humans and not staying up all night during the week. But then obviously on the weekends, like when we're playing shows, you have to stay up like all night. So like, yeah, it's that balance.
Mm-hmm. So finding the balance of sleep, like you said, when it's possible, trying to keep on a schedule, because it can get really easy to be up all night and then, really have your schedule messed up, which then affects your health, your emotional state, your decision making. So doing that, and Trevor, like you said, taking breaks, so important, getting sunlight, fresh air, Kyle, golf, having different hobbies or other interests. I think that's important too. And it can be really easy when you're in the studio to forget about the breaks, right? You kind of just get really into what you're doing and you don't stop. So I think like a lot of those things that you're doing help. And then you mentioned too, like the fitness piece. I think that's really big, especially to balance things with the staying up late and the touring. The fact that you're both into fitness, I'm guessing really helps to keep you sort of on track with, how you're feeling physically, which then helps you mentally.
Yeah. Definitely. And if you're just flu all day, going to the gym or whatever, we always try to go when we get in somewhere, or I don't know, or if you're jet lagged, it just helps a lot. And I feel like having that regimented thing to look forward to, and you definitely feel better when you're moving in general, even if you're just walking or whatever, just getting that blood flow, I think helps so much.
Yeah. And then it becomes like something that like you really like want to do, and that you kind of like feel like you need. Like you kind of realize how important it is when you start doing it, that you're like, oh yeah, like when you don't work out, then you start feeling like, oh, I haven't, like, or when you're just not moving, like it's like affects everything.
Definitely. It really does. Like you notice it more, like you said, once you're in a routine of doing it and then you don't do it, you can really notice more like how it can make you feel worse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure that fitting it in on tour is not the easiest thing either.
Yeah, it's really difficult sometimes.
Even if it's 10 minutes or whatever, just something on the treadmill, anything, it's just helps, I think, so much. Yeah. So.
Absolutely. I always say like any exercise is better than no exercise, right? You may not be able to fit in an hour, but 10 minutes does make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm sure it also helps that you're both into fitness. So if you're somewhere, you can like hold each other accountable or, do it together.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So, I think we've been all over the place and like talking about a lot of different topics. I'm curious to know like more about what you guys thought going into this, right? Before you're where you are now, like, was there anything you thought success would be like, and then it's like surprised you and been totally different or been the same?
I guess kind of like what we were talking about a little bit earlier is that you kind of like always have that next step that you want to get to, Mm-hmm. So I feel like, I guess when you think you're like, oh, once we get to this point, everything's going to be like great and fine. And like, we're not, we're going to be like complacent in a way or something, or you think you're going to get to that point and you're just going to be like, but I feel like you're always working harder to something else. So like, we still kind of feel the same way that we did. I feel like it hasn't really changed our like mindset, and that's probably for the better. But yeah, that was something definitely that I like think about, is like, now that we're playing like these shows that we've always wanted to play, but now we're like, okay, what's next kind of thing. Like you're kind of always like that.
Yeah. And I think talking to a lot of our artist friends who are much larger or in a position like Trev saying where we would like to be in the future, I feel like all those people have that same feeling, even if you're at the very, very top, because it's like, now it's like, okay, well, how am I going to stay here or continue to stay relevant? Or it's like, it really never ends. So it's kind of, I don't know, for me, like it was just such a goal to be able to just like live off music. And then I feel like once we got to that point, it made the whole process more enjoyable to like really be like, okay, let's figure out how to do this properly and like just do it as best as we can. And like, yeah, I think this is definitely a really good point, what Trev said. So
yeah, that is the benefit though, is like when you get to a certain point, like you can say no, obviously way more, which is like way different. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when artists get to that point in their career where they can say no, and it's actually helpful to start saying no.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of like, we talk about it all the time, like the power of no. It's like definitely a thing. It's like for a show or for anything, it's like you have to know what's going to align with what you're trying to build. And if doing a show in this random college, even though it pays well, is like not going to be the most crazy look or whatever. It's like just knowing what you're trying to build and be strategic with that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the strategy is super important. And I think early on, you may, be saying yes to most things, right? Any opportunity kind of can be an opportunity, right? Yeah. But as you progress and get more experience and start figuring out, okay, what opportunities, I'm getting lots of opportunities, what's actually aligned with my vision and my goals. And like you were saying too, both of you, that once you reach this ultimate, quote unquote, ultimate goal, there's something else, right? There's like new goals that you're setting. You always have things that you're working toward. And that sounds like it was a little bit different that maybe you thought in the beginning before even doing this, like, oh, you play your dream festival or, you get your number one and then you can be complacent. But I think the pressure sometimes can be even greater when you achieve these really big things. It comes with a lot.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. That's definitely true too. Cause then the stakes just kind of get higher. But that's why I think, like we've said before, it's good to like work your way up, like not, it's good to like work your way up in I guess the way that we've done it, because like then you kind of are prepared for those next steps more, rather than like, I guess if we just had a hit song right in the beginning and then like got all these looks and just didn't really know what to do, I feel like it's a lot easier to kind of mess that up and also carry a lot more like stress with that.
Mm-hmm. So the slow growth has helped you stay grounded and make decisions sort of maybe at a slower pace than having to do like a ton of stuff at once when you really have no idea.
Yeah, it just gets you like more prepared, I think. Like I think now we're just so much more like prepared for like things like even Tomorrowland, for instance, like we were saying, like we had just played our like UK debut show. And so like I feel like now we kind of know, okay, this is the set that we want to do and things like that. Whereas like if we hadn't done that and just kind of got rushed into Tomorrowland, which is like what we wanted, obviously in the beginning, we're like, why aren't we playing Tomorrowland? It would have just been different and like could have been worse off. Could have been great too.
But it sounds like, regardless of the order that things have happened, there's been this slow progression and you're really figuring things out sort of as you go, whether it's the different crowds or building the infrastructure. I think it can be so hard in this industry because there really isn't a roadmap for success.
Definitely. And I think that once you realize that, is that truly everyone's path is different. I feel like you can kind of have more, it's easier said than done, but you can have more ease knowing like, okay, I'm at least doing these right things. And like, if you see growth, like it's really all you can ask for. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that goes back to, measuring your progress, like measuring your steps toward the goals, and really stopping to celebrate that progress. Because I think it's also easy when things are happening, boom, 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 you have all these things to do. It's very easy when good things happen or, you've reached a goal or made significant progress on a project. It's easy to not pay attention to it.
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. So I think celebrating progress is huge. It's like something that's so important along the way. And no matter where you are in this process or where you are in your artist career, I think it's always something that's helpful is like to stop, take a step back and like have that reflection time so you can really see where you are. Cause I think it can help you. The looking back can be helpful to, getting you where you want to go too.
Totally. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. With all of your experience, my question for you is, what is one unfiltered truth about this industry that you think artists only learn after they've lived it or been in the industry?
There's probably a lot of answers, but I think like, yeah. One for sure is like you're saying, a lot of it is based off relationships. And like, obviously you kind of know that going in, but like, it is definitely a huge driver of a lot of things. Like the politics is like a real thing in music. So
trying to think of a really good one. Yeah, just seeing how, I mean, I don't know if I should say this, but yeah, I'll just go more politics vibe. It's very, people have the assembly line of how things happen, and you got to kind of play the game, and it's just the nature of the business. And like, people definitely have their favorites, and there's like stuff like that, but I feel like that's just like, it's just part of it. And it's like, you have to be willing to go with those punches, and at a certain point what you create is hopefully going to be undeniable, whereas if those people aren't necessarily in your corner, then they have no choice. And that's kind of, I feel like, always been our avenue, is because like, maybe the style that we're doing isn't like John Summit and like what everyone is focused on right now, but I think there is a huge crew of people, like you saw with the Garrick store, who care about what we're doing, and it's like, those are our people. And like, realizing how you can shift and like just make it undeniable, really. So that's, yeah, kind of been our thing, because there's so much politics, it's crazy. But yeah, that's
the
probably
politics can be a whole episode, right?
Yeah. We're keeping it super general, but like,
I was gonna say that's the most general way you could say it.
Yeah.
Right. But I mean, Kyle, too, like, I want to come back to the politics and the relationships, but I think this ties into what you said earlier about for you both building your own sound, and having your own stuff, not just solely collabs. I think that's been so key in your progression and success, is that you know your sound. And people, then your community knows your sound. And I think, like you said, it becomes undeniable, and you're able to find your people. And once you find your people, like, that's what it's about. You have your loyal audience, and they're going to be there through everything.
Yeah,
exactly. And that's been something that we've just placed total focus on pretty much, like, at this point, is like finding those people and like resonating with those people.
And like I mentioned before, like, I literally see it. You have found your people, and they come, right? No matter what setting you're playing in, they are there. So I think that, that, again, it means so much. And, with the relationship thing, I think that, you really can't underestimate the power of relationships in this industry. I think in business in general, right? It is all about relationships. People do business with people that they like and people that they trust. And that's the
100%.
bottom line. So, if you don't want to build relationships, forget it. Like, you're not, like, it's not going to work. I think there are definitely politics. But I think, again, it's about finding your people in the industry that see the vision and that support you. And I think that can, be a way around the politics, right? I think, the politics will be there, but they don't have to prevent you from, getting to where you want to be.
Exactly.
Definitely. And that's also, you mentioned something that we have really put a focus on, is like meeting these people, and just like you're saying, like having the dialogue, because I think a lot of people get so stuck on not doing that the promoters or whatever, they're like, oh, I don't even know anything about this person. And it's like, if you maybe have something online, could help, but it's like having that, it goes back to just the connection and the genuine interaction with these people. Go out, be in the scene. Like, it does go a long way, because they see you're supporting their company or their events or whatever it is. And I think that's super, super important.
Yeah. And just having fun too. I feel like, like, it's infectious.
Yeah. I agree. Definitely don't forget the fun. But like you said, supporting people, being out there, like, you guys are out there physically, but I think you're also out there online to sort of, when the community is not there at a show, they also, are engaged with what you're doing and following your travels and things. And I think that's an important component too, that sort of, I think, keeps the community engaged, that you both do really well.
100%. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So, what is one lesson that you've had to learn the hard way?
I have a great one.
Let me see what yours.
This has come around a couple times, but and I will not drop any names, but I feel like every time we have a track that does well, we would sign it to a label or do something with the label, and I feel like it's never been where we get to the other side of it and we're like, oh, that was so worth it, because it's actually, I feel like, kind of halted the progress of these releases when you put it into someone else's hands. And when we've released a lot of our catalog independently, those are the best and most successful releases, because we like can do anything we want. We can make the decisions, and there's not so many cooks in the kitchen. And I feel like, not bashing on labels, labels are very important, but the right ones, and like the ones that you see can help you with the culture, like a Stamped or something like that, has helped us way more than just releasing a track on a label because of the big name or whatever. And I feel like that's something I think we are really trying to push for the rest of this year and moving forward, is just getting back to that cadence of our own stuff and doing it how we want to do it. So we're going to start kind of like our own label, if you will, and just start running things ourselves. So we're super excited about that.
That's very exciting. Do you have an idea of when you're launching?
Trying to figure it out. It's going to be probably August or September. Yeah.
Wow. Very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know if we're going to do like a formal hoorah vibe. It's going to just kind of, you'll see that we're independent again. But I do want to start a label one day. So this could be like, if we have a good proof of concept, something that will definitely tailor it towards eventually. But yeah.
I love that. I think, like you said, there is so much to be said for having your own creative control. And I think this would also give you a great platform to help other artists as well.
100%. And we're super passionate about that. And I think we've learned a lot of valuable information just through going through the labels, but also releasing independently ourselves. And we're just super hands-on with that whole process. We know how to like really push releases on social media and just all the little things that I think we could provide value to for people one day. And I think Summit with his label is the mold, like, and Martin is like building something that people want to be a part of, throwing shows, putting people on. Like, it's just like, it's such a cool thing that they've done. So it's definitely the goal one day for sure.
Totally.
I think that will be amazing. And like you said, you'll bring that community element to it, which I think will make it that much more valuable.
Definitely.
Okay, question for you both. What matters most? Talent, consistency, or relationships?
Honestly, probably consistency for me.
I would say consistency.
Yeah.
Then this sounds twisted, but I would say in the order, I would say consistency, then relationships, then talent. At least where the state of everything is right now.
Yeah.
But
Consistency.
I don't know. I think consistency is very important. With social media and all these avenues, like every day is a new day, and posting, you never know what can happen. And we're like a perfect example of that. We posted this Unbreakable and just went nuts. And I would have never thought that that type of song would react the way it did on TikTok, especially way back when all it was like dances and like not really that serious type songwriting. So that was cool to see something like that connect like that.
Totally.
But
yeah, and the consistency, I feel like, is what gets you the talent and what gets you the relationships at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the consistency piece is absolutely essential to build, and across so many different things. Like you said, with social media, I think with your music, putting yourself out there on social media, like you said, you never know when one of these moments is going to happen. But the consistency of putting yourself out there keeps your community engaged, keeps people in the loop and wanting to, see more of what you're doing. And, the consistency, again, whether it's releases, whether it's social media, whether it's shows, it sort of reminds people that you're there, and it's what helps sort of build the momentum and keep it going.
100%.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
Kyle, I don't think it was twisted. I do think, I think, and I know a lot of people would agree with us, that consistency really does matter more than talent. Consistency can help you build talent, but really keeping on putting yourself out there, and somehow or another, like all of these conversations I'm having with artists and industry leaders, we always come back to the importance of consistency, and we always somehow come around to like game type, and how he talks about consistency and
Yeah.
how just like been everything in getting him to where he is now. And I think people underestimate it. People have trouble building consistency, but taking small steps to build consistent habits, again, around social media, around production, around releases, around touring, around balance, around doing other things too. It's just helps to sustain a career, and really avoid the burnout.
Totally. And I think, I don't know, a lot of the people I feel that aren't willing to do these things are maybe the older people who it used to be all about talent, I feel like. And like you'd put a song up and it would be based on that, but there's so many other factors now. And I feel like a lot of those people are just the ones who aren't willing to do the other stuff now. They just want to make a song and call it a day. And it's like, it is what it is. You kind of have to do all these things now. And if you don't, then you will maybe have success, but it's just kind of the landscape now. So
it is sad because you want the talent to be the most important, but unfortunately it's just like not the case these days.
Yeah. I hear what you're both saying. And especially like you said, Kyle, like people who maybe were doing this years ago, what worked then is not working now. And the consistency piece really is everything. And I think that also, I forgot to mention this earlier, but the consistency really ties into your branding and your strategy, right? You have to be clear, like you're both very clear on your vision, and you have to be clear on the brand, your sound, like, what you're putting out there to the world. You can go outside of it, you can do different things, but the bottom line consistency that you build is really everything.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
So do you have a suggestion, like one habit an artist should start building today to be more consistent?
I think for me, it would be like try to make something or like get something done like every day, even if it's like one thing. Like you could start small. Obviously, you want to do as much as possible, but like even if it's like, okay, one post per day, like one song idea per day, like, and just have that kind of get into that like habit and flow.
And I think social wise, we don't do as much of a job anymore because have a lot more going on. So it's been a little easier to just create a bank. But we used to have a day that we would film 4 or 5 videos and just bank content for the week. And from a social standpoint, that would be something I could recommend, because I feel like a lot of people are like point and shoot and upload. And it's like, you could do that, but you could also take an hour on a Sunday and get 10 videos, and then be ready for the next 2 weeks. So I think thinking of it more strategic instead of like a stress, it's like it really doesn't have to be that bad. And once you have one video that gets any sort of numbers, I feel like you get re-inspired, because it's like, oh, this is cool, people resonated with that. And yeah, just kind of thinking of it more like that, as opposed to such a thing you got to do every day. And like, I think there's smarter ways to go about it, I guess.
Totally. Yeah.
That's a great idea, like batching content so you're not sort of stressing out in the moment. And I think that can save you time and energy as well.
Yeah.
And Trevor, too, I think what you're saying goes a long way as well. Like get one thing done per day to start building those habits, even if it's something small. If you could just get into the habit of doing it, habits take months to build. But if you can get used to doing small steps, it's easier then to build on those, whether that's a fitness goal or a production goal. Yeah. I think it still applies.
Yeah.
Also, something I really used to focus on, and I think still so important, is, and we've talked about it on this, but just try to have a convo with someone every day, even if it's on a DM or like just something to build your brand awareness, network, whatever it is. Like someone, try to talk to like a manager or a cook, like a producer, literally anyone, just talk to someone, because it's like, I feel like so many people have this thing and it's like everyone else doesn't know who they are. And it's like when you're going to these shows and people see your face, you're just having that familiarity with these people, like I think is such a long way. Because if you think about it, like we were saying with the content, it's like that's 30 people a month. If it's one person a day, it's like that's a huge network that you can build over the course of a year. And it's like, just, I don't know, just thinking of it more like granular instead of like this whole big thing. I don't know. I think it helped a lot with that.
Yeah. No, that's great.
That's a great one too. I think, like you said, it's sort of building on like small steps with relationships, and making it, I think, less overwhelming, because sometimes it can be overwhelming to, try to talk to people at an event or something like that. These small steps really do add up over time. And if you have like a to-do thing of connecting with one fan or one person in the industry per day, you can do that online. You don't have to be at an event all the time. I think that goes such a long way and build up to help with brand awareness and just help with building the relationships over time that will lead to you finding your people and opportunities happening.
Exactly.
For sure. And it's like, even if you're talking to someone who works at a sports agency and they're like, oh, I met this guy, and then he's going to be like, oh, we need music for this. Or it's like, you never know. Like, just talk to people. Like, I can't stress that enough. It's super, super important.
Absolutely. Talk to people. Well, I appreciate you both for talking with me today. I'm loved having you, love your insights, and so excited for all that you've got coming up this year. Can't wait for your Tomorrowland set, Ibiza, label launch. Excited for it all. And again, thanks for being here, and thanks for listening to Psych Drop. The conversations that we're having here are about understanding what's really happening, beneath performance, decisions, and leadership in the industry, and how people, artists, and industry leaders sustain success as their responsibilities grow. I'm Dr. Sunni, and I'll see you on the next episode.